We're cracking up because the thumbnail that got sent out to everybody who gets the alert, who gets the alert for us going live right now, the thumbnail that they're getting of us two sitting here is us looking like we're about to be shot by the predator.
It's like he's right outside the window. You guys
You know what?
send
Honestly,
help.
like, it's possible. We are out in front of this fucking field with trees and woods.
Honestly,
right in
yeah,
front
like
of us.
our view right here is 90% of this movie.
Yeah, exactly. We are at from a point of view that if there is going to be some creature coming out to murder us, it's either going to be the Predator or Pumpkinhead.
Well, I haven't seen Lance Henriksen, so
Yeah. So this is the only movie that I'm at tonight because
me too.
there. Oh well. It's too bad because one of the 4 movies that comes out this weekend's another PureFlix movie.
Aw, man.
So, well, they must be doing there's like 4 movies that come out this weekend, and they must be doing something at this theater because I noticed on the Thursday screenings that like every one of the previews was at 7 and none past that, so there wasn't like a 9:30 or a 10 or something like that. So I wrote to Irving and was like, hey, do you mind if we put off A Simple Favor till tomorrow? So I'm like, why is everything on, why are all the premieres just at 7 o'clock?
Kind of weird.
But when I got in here, it was the same thing for movies that have been playing for a while that were still here. I got here at like 6:30, and there was a bunch that was like no more show times today. So
True. I mean, hell, even as we were like, it's only 9 o'clock right now. Like, as we were walking out,
Yeah.
like, there were like staff members behind us.
yeah. I hope they don't turn this theater into Parkway where it suddenly becomes the last showings of the day or at 7 o'clock. Shit.
Gonna make this really hard to do.
Yeah, I know. This theater's got the best signal to do this shit. Okay, so I had to. So a couple movies I'm gonna be seeing tomorrow night, like White Boy Rick and Simple Favor, and then Wednesday in Chicago I'm gonna be seeing the PureFlix movie, which is Unbroken 2. So I had to take. I was like, which one of the 4 do I pick tonight? Well, obviously the Predator.
Let's go with the one that you know is gonna be at least decent.
Yeah, let's go with the one that like that most people will probably go see this weekend. At least I think so. Who knows? It may be.
It's a big
Unbroken
Simple
2 might.
Favor crowd out there.
There's gonna be all those fans of the first Unbroken movie. Oh, they're lining up already to see this new one. So the Predator is Shane Black coming back doing Predator movie, co-written with Fred Decker, and this is a movie that every time I got a trailer for this film, I was sitting there for the most part like, none of these trailers are really doing it for me. Like some of the trailers were I couldn't tell what tone the movie was trying to settle on.
It really liked showing a lot of Keegan-Michael Key like telling jokes, and then like stuff that looked like it might have come from like Alien versus Predator.
Requiem.
You're not really sure because like
Yeah.
like cracking jokes, ha ha ha, explosion, ha ha ha. They're on like
Yeah.
they're on a residential street. I'm like, okay, like it could have been from like anything.
Yeah, so but there was always that like, well, okay, these trailers aren't really selling me necessarily on how the trailers are cut alone, but there was always that part of me that was like, well, it's still Shane Black doing it, so I'm still going into this
But yeah, that
optimistic.
That brings a lot to the table just starting off with, because like if it was like, oh, there's a new Predator movie, like okay, like Shane Black's doing it, like okay.
Yeah. Shane Black, a good enough cast attached to it. Like, all right, this movie's got credibility to it. And then I tried to stay offline for the most part a lot today, except for some of the work I had to do. But you couldn't help but notice a lot of just real negativity being written about the movie. Whether I don't know how many people I necessarily saw outright hate the movie. There's probably a lot of that, but for the most part, it was just a lot of talk of disappointment, not care. The movie's not going, doesn't seem to be going over really well, critically speaking. Viewership wise, not really either.
I saw like the word disappointing come up a couple times too, just on things that I saw, which, I mean, this is a hard franchise to really like throw that out for, because it has had some disappointing parts to it.
It has, but whenever one in the past has come out that has turned out to be like, okay, the Alien versus Predator movies, those didn't have a Shane Black attached to it. They had Paul W.S. Anderson, so I don't know how much high hopes there were necessarily for Alien versus Predator or the guys who did Requiem. So with this one, here's really what this movie came down to for me. From the very beginning of it, even when it sets up these characters, this is a film that I pretty early on into it, I was like, all right, I kind of know the feel of this right here. This feels sort of less like Shane Black doing just like a straight on Predator movie, but more like this is Shane Black basically doing a big budget Fred Olen Ray movie. This is like a kind of Predator movie that sort of exists in the same universe as like a Predator knockoff movie from the late 80s, early 90s. And
I could see that.
And so like seriously, this movie is
oh my God,
is written and feels like something that I would stumble across on Cinemax in like 1991 as like a midnight monster movie that would star Ross Hagen and would be like Alienator or a movie like that.
Followed by Carnosaur 3.
Yeah. It's basically Shane Black doing a movie like that. I mean, in that regard, you can tell that I think this script has been kicking around for a while, Fred Decker's script. So when I was watching it in that kind of mindset, for a majority of the movie, I was actually having a pretty good time with the film.
But yeah, it was fun. Like, if nothing else can be said about it, it is a fun fucking movie.
Right. More often than not, I was very entertained by this movie because it does have a lot of that Shane Black hard-assery going on where everyone, like, by the end of this, you and me are gonna dance. I already picked out my shoes. You know, lines like that scattered throughout the movie. But what really makes it work for me in this regard is that the main characters in this movie are a bus full of people being shipped to the loony bin. They
are just straight up crazy people and a guy that they're trying to just shuffle under and just make disappear.
Yeah, so Boyd Holbrook, he's a sniper. He witnesses the Predator come down at the beginning of the movie, so they do a psych evaluation on him, and then they just want to make him disappear by putting him in a bus full of other crazy soldiers. Like, it is one of those movies that you'd see like 30 years ago where like the cast is all trying to out crazy each other. But in this,
the
like
fucking Megaforce, man.
Yeah, no, you know what it is? It's the characters from Con Air going up against the Predator.
Fuck yeah.
Like, it's a guy who thinks he's Jesus and he's constantly like spouting scripture. It's Keegan-Michael Key who has PTSD, who's using bad jokes as a way to cope with how crazy he is. It's Thomas Jane with Tourette's.
Just out of his fucking mind.
Out of his mind, screaming about like pussy and fuck and shit like that. And then it's Boyd Holbrook and Olivia Munn being straight men opposite these crazy assholes going up against a monster from outer space. I was having a good time with this movie for the most part.
Yeah, it's like, I didn't see anything to be disappointed about, really. I mean, yeah, you could have done probably anything with the script. Fine, sure, whatever. But it was fucking fun.
The movie, it's not perfect. Like, the movie is insane. Like, when you break down this fucking movie,
there are things that go kind of like they must have been sitting there like, can we can we have this little kid kill somebody?
Okay,
It's
so
like,
all right.
yes, we can do that.
Sometimes
How
this-
many times is too many times to say the word pussy in one film? Just asking, throwing it out there, because I wrote it a lot.
sometimes this movie does struggle with tone. Like it is consistently throwing out jokes and one-liners and things like that. It's not like suddenly you're watching John Carpenter's Halloween and then Busta Rhymes shows up. It's not like quite like that. There's consistently like jokes and one-liners and action movie lines going through it. But then sometimes an episode of Young Sheldon happens. And that, the way that is worked into the plot of this movie is crazy. So, it almost in an endearing way. Like, you're either gonna be pissed off at it, or you're just gonna fucking go with it. So in this
Like, so this
movie...
kid, fine, go with it. Awesome.
So Jacob Tremblay is an autistic kid in the movie who the Predators have come down in a way that feels like it's almost a prequel to Battlefield Earth, where they know man is going to be an endangered species because of climate change. So they are basically, the Predators are evolving using DNA from just the masters of whatever planet, the smartest and the best and everything. And so Olivia Munn tells us that the next step in the human evolutionary chain is autistic children, in which the Predator has come down to...
It's like, there is one true warrior among you.
It's crazy!
It's like, why? Because he figured out, like, your fucking armband computer? Like,
Yeah. Oh, because
Fuck
he's
me.
because he's a movie autistic, where
Yeah,
he's a
he's-
fucking wizard who, by the end of the movie, is working fucking with the soldiers and scientists. Like, wait a minute, I got this.
it's like guy introducing him around the facility, like, oh, he's the world's foremost expert on cybernetics. Oh, but his desk is right next to a fucking kid who's in, like, 6th grade.
Yeah, dude, it's like if you combine Jimmy from The Wizard into Flight of the Navigator. But it is unapologetic about how crazy this is. So you'll have...
And it's like, it gives you one of those Rain Man moments immediately. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
you kind of see this kid, like, he's a little off, and then you see something happen, and he's, like, reacting, and he's like, oh, this kid's clearly, like, some sort of, like, autistic. Like, he's at a normal school, so I guess he's high-functioning enough. Like, and then it's like, oh, wait, all these pieces, like, all these, like, chess pieces off of, like, 10 different boards got
Yeah.
knocked over, and he puts them all back up. Is like, savior of mankind right there.
Like, yeah, obviously.
I mean, fuck me, I couldn't do that, but I don't know that real people can do that either. But movie autism, oh yeah, it's a fucking superpower.
Oh yeah, dude. Especially when he takes the mask and the weapon out as a Halloween costume and blows up a frat guy who's throwing water balloons at him.
Just a fucking hole through that man. And if that didn't kill him, the ensuing explosion did.
You're either gonna laugh at stuff like this in the movie or not. I did. Whoops.
My God.
Shit. There is an invisible man in the car. I did quite a bit at this movie, and it's one of those films too where sometimes like I'm really with the action of this movie. I'm with all the crazy shit that it's happening because it just kind of builds up its universe to where, all right, just insane 80s action movie stuff will just happen in it because it's a Shane Black movie. So like I'm with it.
Yeah, like everything explodes. Fucking fine. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that.
Sometimes though, like I would sit there like, all right, you're asking a lot from me right here. For like all the times they're saved by the Predator dogs playing fetch with them, there were a few times it was getting a little too dumb, and that would be the Predator dogs constantly saving them.
Turn its collar over. Deus Ex Machina. Oh,
Yeah, dropping fucking like.
that was his name the whole time. We'd known that. Kept him closer.
But then a guy
dog
would.
had impeccable timing.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Every
Yes.
time.
Yeah, because like convenient shit like that'll happen, like with the dog showing up, giving them weapons at random moments and just appearing out of nowhere. And
It was very much some like if you're playing like fucking Fallout, like dog runs up, like drops a shotgun. It's like, thanks, I need that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. I was out of guns and you went and found a gun for me. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, like in the best other Predator movies, like if the Predator wanted to kill you, you were just fucking dead. Like
Yeah.
you were fucking dead. Like that's what's great about the original film is it takes the most macho actors of the time, puts them in a movie. They're exchanging these badass dialogue with each other, all these one-liners, just
Badass high fives.
yeah, all of that shit. And then they're faced off with this thing from outer space
It's
that's
just a fucking meat grinder.
yeah, that like just puts him in a fucking meat grinder. And so it would kill off people just rapidly in that film. If it wanted you dead, like you were fucking dead. In this, it wants you dead depending on how important you are to the script.
Yeah, it seemed a little bit more selective. It wasn't like I'm gonna start killing people. I'm really close to you, but you got to stay around for a while. So I'll walk past you to kill somebody else. It's like,
Yeah.
or even like the what is the bigger one?
The super predator.
Yeah.
Uber predator.
Apex Predator would have been the best. That makes the most sense logically, but
Yeah.
no, like that one there, like yeah, he was so fucking selective. Like he was just like, I don't fucking care.
If
He's
he-
like, he would just turn and walk away. He's like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Like he saw them all like fighting and shit. They all get in that RV and just drive away, and he's like, eh. Does everything short of waving at them.
Yeah, you're a supporting character. You have your guts pouring out. If you're like Boyd Holbrook, you get thrown up against a wall or something like that.
Yeah,
But-
it's like incidental, like army guys, like left and right, were just getting like faces slashed open.
Yeah.
Like blade out of arm through entire body, shit like that. Like I don't know how many times I saw a guy get thrown into a wall and either immediate like back is broken, or that one guy got thrown into a glass window and like fucking exploded or something. Like,
Oh yeah.
like I don't know how fucking hard he must have thrown him, but he just turned into jelly upon impact.
I mean, there are some good kills in this. Like one guy gets killed with a trank dart through the eye.
But then yeah, like it's like if you're a main character though, like fuck me, he got thrown into like 5 different trees. He's like, oh
Yeah.
fuck, stand back up. Is like, I guess it was a softer tree.
I know. Like, and I love Sterling K. Brown in this movie.
Oh, he does
like,
great, especially since like the majority of my exposure to him is as the soft-spoken character Randall on This Is Us.
Right.
Like he's perpetually the best guy ever.
Check out.
And then watching this where he is just fucking terrible and great.
Yeah, he's just fucking cold in this movie, man. And sometimes, like, he's put in a position where he actually has to, like, help out, like, Boyd Holbrook and those people. But then, like, at the end of the day, he's still, like, the asshole guy of this. So he will just, if one of his men gets his hand cut off, he will just shoot him in the head.
It's like, oh, let me see that. Bam!
yeah.
Turns and walks away.
Some of these characters feel like they could all be sons of people from previous Predator movies. Like, well, hell, I mean, Jake Busey, I think, is playing Gary Busey's, like, character's son in this, I think.
It's fucking possible. I don't remember his name to remember what the fuck he's... But it is fucking possible. I mean, they do establish that this is all still connected.
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, Sterling K. Brown could be Carl Weathers' kid. Like, Boyd Holbrook could be Dutch's kid. Like, hell, by the end of this movie, I was half expecting Adrian Brody to pop out of a pod at the end of this. Like, I wanted it to tie... Because...
Or even just, like, the dumb thing, like, oh, yeah, it turns out, like, I'm a member of, like, this platoon. Like, it's like everybody in that unit was killed back in the fucking 80s except for one guy or some
Yeah.
shit like that. Or, like, you know, like, just one of those, like, dumb action movie reveals. Like, it's like, what do I call you? It's like, oh, this is my name, but my friends call me Dutch. Like,
Yeah. Wait,
Dutch's kid.
what?
Oh, my God, Dutch Jr. But, like, No, they didn't. They could have. Like, Jesus Christ, they easily fucking could have at any time gone for some shit like that, but I'm glad they didn't.
I thought that they did work in, like, a couple of nods to the previous movies a little better than I've seen it done in some other things. Like, okay, when a character yells, "Get to the chopper" in this, he is just legitimately kind of yelling that out, and, like, as someone would in that situation. And if you've seen the other, you catch that.
Yeah, it's a joke that, like, it was, like, I agree. It was done in a nice way because it's like, it's a joke that you get, but if you haven't seen the other, like, if you haven't seen, like, the first Predator movie, like, it's not like it's one of those things that, like, well, that seems like a weird thing to say.
Yeah, and I've seen that done in one of the Expendables movie. It might have been the third one, where Arnold.
Oh yeah, he, like, shows up to save the day. It's like, everyone get to the chopper. It's like,
And he
we know.
He says it like 3 or 4 times and practically looks at the camera and winks. Like, this one did that kind of thing better. Like,
It's like, oh, you mean like when Chuck Norris showed up and they started telling Chuck Norris jokes?
and I like Expendables too, but that part where the movie just stopped dead to tell old ass Chuck Norris jokes.
It's like, wow, hand firmly on the pulse.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, you should have been there when I went to go see Slender Man. Speaking of timely. But no, like the other, but like the first one is a classic. The second one, I love the second one. I love how, like, it's in the first one you have all these macho guys, Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jesse Ventura, Bill Duke, all those guys put up against the Predator. The second one, you have just like this cop film with Danny Glover, who has to use more than his strength to try to beat this thing. And
that's the sort of thing, like, the second one,
I love the second one.
with a handful of rewrites, they could have just been like, oh, it's a serial killer, and it would have just been a hard-edged cop movie.
Yeah, I like that it interrupted this cop plot that was kind of going on between him and, like, the Jamaican gang and everything.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy that. I really love Predator 2 is underrated.
But yeah, a couple of rewrites, and, like, oh, it turns out the main villain is, like, Screwface. It's like, okay.
Yeah, dude. Oh, totally. Marked for Death. Yeah. I even thought Predators, the Adrian Brody one, was really underrated.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed that one. Like,
Yeah.
it had a lot of really good feel to it. And it did try, like, some interesting new things. Like, that's at least one thing I can give this franchise is with each movie, they do try to do something different. You know, the first one, okay, group of the most macho army guys you could have possibly assembled in the 80s in the fucking jungles of, like, Cambodia or some shit. Next one, fucking in the streets, like in the middle of the fucking city.
Yeah.
What in Predators, like, they were on they were on, like, a predator world,
And it was a collection of, like, yeah, they were
like,
on
they
the Predator's
assembled,
planet.
Like, they grabbed up a group of, like, very fucking, like you guys are people that can beat a predator, so we're gonna put all of you guys together.
They assembled a group of, like, killers. Like, one was a Yakuza guy, one was, like, a drug lord, one was a serial killer. Like, I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I really liked it.
Like, I like, okay, so now they're just getting selective. Like, this predator got bored and was like, it's like, okay, I'm gonna find, like, 8 potential candidates that I would go after and just go after all of them.
Yeah. And
Like, it gives, like, some interesting ideas each time they come up with one. This one felt a little odd, like they were putting a lot of ideas into, like, world building and like
especially the ending.
establishing a lore and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
like, oh, it turns out they do want something from us. They're not just coming here to kill people. Oh, they're looking to, like, modify themselves. Like, ooh, they're a hybrid type thing. So each movie you could have different styles from here on out if they keep going with you know, like, continuing on with this current story, you know. So
But it's done in a way that if you go into this movie with a mindset to have a good time in the same way you would, like, a Midnight Monster movie, like something like Alienator or a Fred Olen Ray movie, you're gonna get some fun out of this, because I did. Like, I liked seeing all of these actors just crazy each other and go up against some aliens in this small town. It was like watching a better, more fun version of Alien vs. Predator Requiem and Dreamcatcher.
I can definitely see that.
I had a good time in a B movie kind of way. I had a good time with this movie. I did.
And yeah, and it's and it does have like some interesting things. Like I honestly like uh the main guy, fucking
Boyd Holbrook.
Boyd Holbrook. I keep fucking forgetting his name. Like for how he plays things throughout the movie, like it really gave me sort of like if in like the first Terminator, like if Kyle Reese had came back and like landed in this movie on accident.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Like he kind of had like that feel like the whole time, even like kind of like look wise and everything like that. Like he had a definite feel like that. Like, but I liked that. Like he was like he was you could tell he could handle himself, but he was also at the same time like the antithesis of like what you would normally picture as like big like macho action movie guy, which I think really kind of worked, you know, like
yeah. And it worked making the team just fucking, literally fucking crazy. It even like, because they don't really say that necessarily in the trailer. It just looks like Keegan-Michael Key's there throwing out one-liners. In this, they do establish that. Like, it makes sense he's acting like this. They actually give a reason for him saying some of the jokes he does. And honestly, quite a few of them did work on me. More so than the ones they show in the trailer.
Because they were letting him say pussy and fuck a lot.
Because, yeah.
Because somebody over there signed off on just everything.
Yeah, like, it was like they went back to, like, whenever there was that rumor this would be a PG-13, so they put out the most graphic trailer they could, and maybe went back and had him say pussy 100 more times.
Like, this really did have
Tom
that
Jane
sort of
doing that
sort of feel like they wrote the script not planning on them saying yes to it, and then when they did, they're like, oh, okay. Sort of like with because wasn't that the case with like the South Park movie? Like they wrote like the craziest thing they could possibly come up with,
thinking it would get cut by the MPAA,
and then they're like, this checks out, and they're like,
seems legit.
We're not gonna question that verdict. We're just gonna go with it. All right. Green light. All right.
Exactly. Like, so I don't know. Like I said, like I imagine there's gonna be a lot of people who don't like this movie. I've already seen quite a few people who don't like this movie. Again, like I said, I had a good time with the movie. Like, it's flawed. It's got some dumb shit in it.
Oh yeah.
It does struggle with tone every now and then, but, you know, I could say the same thing about a lot of movies that I'm comparing this film to, and I still had fun with them.
Well, and it's the sort of thing, too, is like, I like that this one, it didn't shy away from the violence. It didn't shy away from the language. You know, fuck me, it's so weird anymore that I have to think that it's weird when I see people actually smoking in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, so it definitely, like, it didn't try to, like, overly modernize itself. It's like this kind of, like, pulpy, like, you know, 80s feel. Like, we want that to carry through. And it did. Like, it came through really well.
And plus, like, some of the actors do have good chemistry. The dude from Moonlight, who was the smoker in the movie, with he and Boyd Holbrook have good chemistry together. Tom Jane and Keegan-Michael Key have good chemistry together.
It's such an odd pairing, but yeah, they play off each other really well.
And in the past, like, 30 days, I've seen 2 movies with Tom Jane in them with a weird version of a dog. And this movie is a lot better than AXL, the robot dog movie. I guess maybe
Man's
better.
Best Friend 2.
Yeah, if it were like the movie Monster Trucks. Any final thoughts about the movie?
I mean, I would definitely say go watch it. I mean, it's a fun flick. It's gratuitous action, gratuitous violence, like all kinds of shit. But it's like you kind of need that sometimes.
Yeah, you know, it's a good movie to be out to go see really late at night with your friends on Halloween season. Because Halloween, it's a big monster movie, and Halloween does play into the movie a little bit.
Which, I have to say, that That was the one thing that really surprised me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Shane Black film, but it's on the wrong holiday.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's not getting as good a reviews as this other movie.
Like, I kept waiting for it to, like, and then it cuts back to his house and they're hanging ornaments or something like that.
Yeah.
But it cuts back and she's like, okay, which Halloween costume? I'm like,
Wait, this isn't right. Where's Christmas?
I legitimately, in my head, as soon as you come to that realization, like, oh fuck, it's fall. Like, they're at Halloween time. Whenever that happened, I immediately thought in my head, so does this movie take place over the course of 2 more months so that it can end on Christmas? Or maybe it's just one of those, maybe it'll just pull one of those, like, sneaky things, like, maybe that little, like, that, like, epilogue at the end. Maybe that's on Christmas. So, like in The Nice Guys, like the whole movie has nothing to do with Christmas, and then at the very end, they're celebrating Christmas in like a Mexican restaurant.
Like Last Boy Scout, where it's like his daughter's in trouble for drawing a Satan Claus picture. Yeah. They get the pod, open it up, it's just full of presents.
They open up the pod and it just has that giant stuffed rabbit from Iron Man 3.
Yeah. Oh, he worked it in there somewhere.
Oh, thank God. I wonder where the giant rabbit would come in. Turns out that was the big predator the whole time.
Yes.
Bust out of the big rabbit. It's just a suit.
Yeah, he's Krampus. All right. Well, coming up tomorrow, we're gonna see White Boy Rick and Simple Favor, and then later on during the week, I'm at the sequel, The Unbroken. But anyway, thanks a bunch, everyone, for watching, and take care. Have a great night.